And of course,
really that exciting.
For sure, if we fade, then it's a lie. But you know we are the sun, and we'll walk
this
the
is Lost
road
Books,
till
mid-season
we
5
find
recap. Let's jump in while the water's still hot. First of all, if you can watch this promo for season 5 and not get emotional, you are not a fan of Lost. Before this season, we found out how the O6 got off the island, and we actually saw the island disappear. The mosaic that Damon and Carlton have prepared is starting to come into focus. Much like Kevin Spacey's John Doe character from Seven said, what I've done is going to be puzzled over, and studied, and followed forever. That's my opinion of Lost. Season 5 started out with Because You Left. We were finally treated to meeting Pierre Chang. Not the orientation film guy, the real one. And then, of course, the huge shocker, Daniel Faraday. We find out that not only has the island disappeared, but Daniel has somehow time traveled. For references on time travel, you need to watch these 2 viral videos. So, the island losties begin time jumping, and Jack is in the real world trying to get the Oceanic Six on board for going back to the island. This season introduced a new storytelling technique where we jumped back and forth between the new present time, January of 2008, and 3 years earlier to the island losties who are jumping all around the timeline. Now, I kind of gave up at the end of Season 4 trying to keep track as to what the heck is going on with the timeline, but if you want to go ahead to this link, be my guest and try and figure it out. Daniel Faraday is the man who knows what's going on. He relays a message to Hatch version Desmond through one of the time jumps, and 3 years later, Desmond finally remembers the message. Go find Daniel's mom. The episode entitled The Lie brought together the holy trinity of weirdness / awesomeness. Wassomeness. That's not really that weird, but it's awesome. This episode had the much anticipated by me one scene return of Ana Lucia, the infamous bloop line, and of course Frogert's fire arrow in the chest. At the end of this episode, we find out that Ben has been given 70 hours to get the O6 back on the island. The vision of this season is coming together pretty quickly. The island losties are time jumping and facing various problems. The O6 are struggling with actually wanting to come back to the island. When I think back upon it, the episode Jughead was very underappreciated. Think about all the things that happened. Charlie Hume is born. Desmond finds out more about Charles Widmore funding Daniel's research and paying for the medical bills of that girl.
That girl has a name.
We meet a 19-year-old Charles Widmore and possibly a young Eloise Hawking back in 1954. And we get the answer as to why Richard was following around a young John Locke. The episode ends with Desmond still trying to find Daniel's mother and Charlotte on the ground convulsing with a nosebleed. Riveting stuff, if I actually cared about Charlotte. The Little Prince was a lame episode, but it gave us a lot to think about, and it had a pretty nice ending. How many different ways can you show the Oceanic Six struggling with wanting to come back to the island, and the island losties struggling with time jumping? Much like Trinity from the third Matrix movie, I just wanted Charlotte to die already. I know, that's mean of me, but Charlotte has been one of the most annoying characters since she's come on this show. We still don't know exactly who the Little Prince is. Could it be Aaron? Locke? Charles Widmore? Jacob? Little Charlie Hume even? And thanks to the time jumps, we finally get a look at a 1988 version of Danielle Rousseau and her French team. And look who they've just caught. Jin. This place's death gave me the most over-dramatic line of the series. This place is death! However, this episode did give us a glimpse into the history of the smoke monster. Egyptian hieroglyphics, the ability to brainwash anyone at a moment's notice, and ripped off Montan's arm? But seriously, why didn't Danielle recognize Jin in Season 1? Charlotte finally dies, Locke severely breaks his leg, he turns the donkey wheel, and the time jumps finally stop. Jack, Ben, Son, and Desmond enter the church, and Miss Hawking wants to get started. 316, or what I like to call the wonderful return of Frank Lapidus. Seriously, he's just awesome. This episode opened up so many questions. What's up with Jack's grandfather? Why was Ben so bloodied up? Where the heck is Aaron? How and why did certain characters have a change of heart and end up getting on that plane? This episode had a lot of Season 1 references, which on Lost Thoughts we had a very special. Bing! So the 06 make it back to the island, and who do they meet up with but Jin? The life and death of Jeremy Bentham was not my favorite episode. I'm sorry to those who worship every episode, but I'm not swayed by this one. Yeah, we knew Locke was gonna die. And we know at the beginning of the episode he's alive again. The best parts of the episode were when Charles Widmore and Matthew Abaddon were in it. There were two saving graces of this episode. The conversation between Locke and Jack, and the moment that Ben tells Locke that Jack bought a plane ticket. That's it. I still stand by my thought that 316 and the life and death of Jeremy Bentham should have been switched as the producers had originally intended. LaFleur was very nice. We get more history on the Dharma Initiative. We get a look at the relationship between the others and the Dharma Initiative before the Purge. Sawyer begins another long con that he gets emotionally invested in. Finally, the Oceanic Six and the Island Losties are reunited so the plot can finally move forward. It was confirmed in LaFleur that the Sawyer-Jin connection had been waiting 3 years for someone to come back. 3 years of assimilating into the Dharma lifestyle and Sawyer finally being happy with where he is. As expected, this season has been full of a lot of surprises. It's January 2008 for our original Losties, even though they're stuck back in 1977. Our beloved Losties can't hang around forever in 1977 because the 1992 Purge is on the horizon. There is a war looming on the horizon, but we still don't know the combatants. What is the destiny that each character has to fulfill? We have 1.5 seasons left, and this journey will take us through every emotion under the sun until we hit one of the most anticipated endings in television history. So let's get to some Q&A. This is going to be quickfire, so hold on to your bonnets. Why was Ben so bloody? The obvious answer is not always the correct answer. A lot of people think that Ben killed Penny, but I remain a skeptic. Ben's attacked on a weekly basis on the show. Not to mention, Widmore has a lot of people off the island. Who's to say that they didn't get to him first and he just escaped? What happened to Desmond's vision of Claire getting onto the helicopter with Aaron? We saw 2 women holding Aaron on the helicopter, Kate and Sun, neither of which are blonde. So my thought is that vision hasn't happened yet. Where are Rose and Bernard? We can't assume that the Sawyer-Jin connection were the only Losties that survived the fire arrow attack. Rose, Bernard, and those other survivors should be somewhere. My thought is that they are with the rest of the tailies that were taken by the others in Season 2. That group of people we know are heading for the temple, a place that we have not seen yet. Where is Vincent and Claire? Why do I put those two people together in the same question? Because I believe they share the same fate. Both of them have died on the island. I believe that Vincent died right at the crash, and I believe Claire died when Martin Keeney's people attacked New Otherton. My thought is, much like Christian Shepherd, these two are working for the island. They're not missing, they're just lying in wait until the island needs them to make an appearance. Want more evidence on the sketchiness of Vincent? Go see this clip of lost and missing pieces. Again, like Christian Shepherd, they are dead, but they retain their memories and their emotions until the island is done with them. Finally, what direction will the rest of the series take? The obvious threat is the upcoming war mentioned by Charles Widmore. Now, we don't know if he's actually referring to the 1992 Purge or something else. In order for the show to end, I feel like they need to have some sort of closure, and just to have our Losties live all the way through to 1992 and get killed in the Purge is not my idea of closure. So, they have to time jump again at some point. When, how, and who become the questions. And don't lose faith in the show. I know a lot of people who have stopped watching because of the complicated plot lines, or they don't like the direction that the show's going. As I've said before, I believe that this show will be talked about and have a cultural impact for generations. The show Lost talks about having faith in something bigger than you, and that is something that every person, regardless of creed, should hold close to their hearts. Yes, it's a television show, but it's a show that can encourage us to take a leap of faith, and to accept that there are things beyond our scope of reality. It's a commentary that shows us that there will always be things that we may not fully understand, but we can know that everything will work out in the end, as long as you have a little faith. God bless America.